Record.
Hey, welcome to the regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen, Monday, December 4th, 2023. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? And Chief Calamaris, will you lead us?
To the flag of the United States
of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this meeting to order. So first item on the agenda is the minutes to consider and act upon the minutes of October 2nd, 2023, October 16th, 2023, and October 19th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Representative Selectman Kupchak, Selectman Vitale. All in favor, say aye.
I should probably be the only one because I was at those meetings.
Right.
Abstain.
So abstain.
In favor.
Okay. Motion passes. Second item just is to hear for information purposes the resignation of Jason Lee from the HVAC Indoor Air Quality Building Committee. Jason was elected to the Board of Education, so we're going to be looking for a replacement for Jason on the HVAC. Next item number 5. Here, consider and act upon the following appointments. Board of Library Trustees, May S. Fair, Democrat, 354 Townhouse Road, for the term from 7/1/2023 to 6/30/2029. This is to fill a vacancy for the seat held by Christina S. McGowan, whose term ended 7/1/2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Selectman Vitale, Selectwoman Kupchak. Is May here? I know she was planning on showing up. Not here. So I want to consider postponing this, but I believe there is some time sensitivity around this.
You open to the board for discussion?
Open up to the floor, any comments, or to the board for discussion?
So I just wanted to bring to the board's attention that Les Schrager had applied, and I'm sure Jennifer probably gave you all the boards and commission information that I had in my office. And he had applied back on May of 2023. And he was actually, he had served on that board for 7 years and 1 year as chair. And I actually was going to try to appoint him, and I was wondering why the library board didn't consider him, considering he had applied back in May, and he is also a Democrat as well. So I was just wondering about that.
Well, I guess I'll comment. May Bayer was the person nominated by the Board of Trustees, and the way this works is the Board of Trustees of the library has the authority to nominate someone, and we approve them. So I didn't ask them why they didn't nominate somebody, but I did look at May Bayer's resume, and it looks like a very fine resume. So I'm in favor of appointing her. However, normally we would hear from that person, and she may be stuck in traffic. Any comments?
I also read her resume, and I trust the library board of trustees that they put her forward, judging just her qualifications and maybe her skill set for the board at large. So I will be supporting her nomination.
May I make a motion to amend the agenda and move this, the last item, and give her a chance to get here? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're going to move this to the Unanimous. We're going to move this to the last item, and hopefully she'll be here. For the next item on the agenda are appointments to the Harbor Management Commission, and I'm going to read them all. Harbor Management Commission full member, George O. Harris, 95 Orchard Hill Lane, for a term from 11/23 to 11/27. Is moving from alternate to full member to replace Jacob Hirschler, whose term has ended. Number 2, Dave Henry, 47 Edgewood Road, for term 11/23 to 11/27, moving from alternate to full member to replace Tim Taylor, whose 2 terms are up. Item number 3, Christopher V. Smith, 470 Reading Road, term 11/23 to 11/27, to replace Eric Sunman, whose term has ended. Alternate members, Michael Baisley, 460 Old Oaks Road, term 11/23 to 11/25, replacing George Harris, who's moving to the full member. And the second alternate, Belinda Shepherd, 289 Sasko Hill Road, 11/23 to 11/25, who is replacing Dave Henry, who is moving to full membership. Do I have a motion? Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
I spoke with Mr. Hyman, who's a member of the commission, about these appointees. They come recommended for their dedication to preserving the harbor, their years of just spending time on the water, caring about preserving the environment, making it a safe waterway for all users, and just giving back to the community. So I will be supporting these nominations. I thank these residents for their service. I had an opportunity to connect with them over the weekend, so I appreciate them taking my call on a Sunday night, and appreciate
No.
their news being put forward.
What, Kupchak, any?
No, they're all very good, and I
Yeah.
appreciate them stepping up to serve.
So normally we would give people an opportunity to come up and introduce themselves at least for the public's sake. So I'm wondering if George Harris would be willing to come up and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, George Harris, longtime resident of Fairfield, recently retired. I've spent a lot of time on the water and a lot of time in town. My 3 sons going through all the public schools. Just thought it was a good thing to do for the town and to be involved.
Thank you very much for stepping up. Dave Henry.
Hello, everyone. I'll keep my remarks brief. I was here about a year ago and had some remarks. Again, I appreciate all the work that you all do for the town of Fairfield. I'm a lifelong Fairfielder like many others. My grandfather was actually town clerk once upon a time. There's a tree on the corner of the property here for him. My father was in the zoning board, and so I felt pretty natural to kind of step up. I saw an alternate position for the Harbor Management Commission that matched my political party, and so I'm honored to be asked to become a full member. I'm also the director of the aquaculture school on Black Rock, and so we've got a bunch of Ludlow board kids who come to me every morning, and we'll learn about safe waterways and how to be safe out there. So it's near and dear to my heart. I appreciate, again, being asked to be a full member and the support of this board. So thank you.
Thank you so much. And I think we've all heard such marvelous things about the Aqua Center School. So thank you for that as well. Next, Christopher Smith.
I too have been a longtime resident of Fairfield. I brought my 3 kids up here, and a lifelong boater, very active in Southport. I'm the past Commodore of the Pequot Yacht Club, so I got involved with the Harbor Management Commission through those goings on, and I learned a lot about how the commission operates, and really very interested to do my part and help out with all the good things they do.
Thank you for stepping up as well. Michael Baisley.
Good afternoon, I'm Mike Baisley. I think like everybody else, you're a resident of Fairfield. Family and I have been here for a long time. And this was a good opportunity for me to kind of get back to the community now that I'm in a spot where my children are a little older and I have a little more time on my hands. So appreciate the opportunity to serve the town. I live in the Stratfield section. My 3-year-olds have been on the shorefront for most of our lives and spent a lot of time fishing down in the area there. We're not boaters per se, but I certainly appreciate the historical significance of the area down in Southport Harbor, and also have been in and around there doing everything from beach cleanups to ecological tours and things. And it's an important part of town for us. Has meaning for our family, so I thought it was a good spot for me to try and serve or to start learning about town and about the commission. So I'm excited to serve.
Thanks so much. And Belinda Shepherd today.
Belinda, she's in Canada.
Oh, she's in Canada. That's right. And
Her last night that she's very excited she's a new resident of Fairfield, originally from Westport, but just loves our coastal community, did some volunteer work here, so is very anxious to get back.
Fantastic. If I may, very briefly, Kim Taylor, I'd like to just mention the amount of energy and effort she's put into this commission over the years. It's really remarkable, and I just want to thank her for her many years of service. Eric Sunman as well. I know Eric from days on the RTM. He's a man of great integrity, and I'd like to thank him. And Jacob Hirschler as well. Thanks for your service over the years. Do we have a motion to?
I'd also like to thank them as well. Kim was nice enough to come by before I left the office to thank me for my service to the town. And she was really instrumental in a lot of the projects, working on the dredging and so many things going on down there. She really went above and beyond the call of duty, I would say, as a commission member. And so you have some big shoes to fill.
Yeah.
But I welcome all of you onto the commission because it is a nice commission, and I think you'll enjoy it.
So ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Reappointments. Oh, yes.
Sorry that I'm late, and I was supposed to be the first.
So we voted to move you to the end, but if everyone's amenable, can we move? Maybe. Can I make a motion to move Mayfair to the next item on the agenda?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay. No problem. You want to come up and tell us about yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm May Bayer. I have lived in Fairfield for about over 3 years, but hope to one day be a long-term resident like someone named here. I'm very excited to join the Library Board of Trustees. My husband and I have a little one at home and another on the way, and we're huge fans of the library and very excited to bring my professional fundraising background and love of the community to the position. Very excited.
Thank you. Thank you for serving. Motion, ready to vote? Oh, open it up to the board for discussion.
So, I'm Mayor, I'm sure May, you're very lovely, and I apologize, I'm gonna abstain from voting to this evening because, as I mentioned before, there has been a very long time resident who actually had applied back in May. And the way I ran the boards and commissions was a little bit different than it has been in the past. I had opened it up more to the community and try to be more involved in it. And for whatever reason, his application wasn't even considered, and he used to serve on the board. So I felt bad. He had called my office quite a bit and was kind of upset. And one of the select people at the time was in favor of him, which I couldn't figure out why, but at any rate, I thought he should have had the opportunity to serve, so I'm going to abstain. Nothing personal.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to say, I thought your background in fundraising and your educational background was really intriguing, and thank you for stepping up.
I agree. You're the library so much of, the friends, the events that they bring, just to add to the library. An important part to supplement, the town budget does fund the library, but some of those extras, the friends are instrumental in that. And from their luncheon to the fashion show they sponsor to some of their community events for kids. I also spent a lot of time with my young children back when they were young in the library. So I think that having a younger parent and your skill set and your perspective, and always lovely to see somebody new to town take an interest in serving. So I will be supporting you, and I thank you for stepping up, and look forward to seeing what you're going to do for our library.
Ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No? Abstain?
Abstention.
Okay, approved. Congratulations and thank you for stepping up. The next item is number 6. So to hear, consider and act upon the following reappointments. The Fire Commission, William M. Burke, 245 Uncle Road, term 11/23 to 11/28. Here we go. Yeah, go ahead.
It's been
Oh, I'm sorry.
Let me-
Moved by Ms. Vitale,
Second.
seconded by Selectwoman Kupchak. Go ahead. Lou.
It's been an honor to serve on the fire commission. I've been on for, I think, 2.5 years, and it's a good group, and I enjoy working with them, and it's been a distinct honor to serve with them.
Thank you, Liam. So this is a reappointment. Gonna open this up. Discussion. Any comments?
So I'd like to just ask, just going back to my point earlier, I know in the past for many, many years, political parties sort of pushed appointments toward the first select person's office, and they were chosen based basically on people's party involvement. And so what I tried to change 4 years ago was put it into the newsletter and open it up to our whole community so that just average citizens could serve on our boards and commissions. And I was just wanted to ask you if you saw the application by Evan Kleban, whose family, are very involved, own quite a bit of property in the town. He applied back in June. I was wondering if you had looked at his application and spoke to him prior to putting this on the agenda.
I did not. And normally for reappointments, unless there's specific reason, and I don't think there is in this case with Liam Burke, we would normally give them the benefit of the doubt. So I would love to. I will look at Evan Kleban's application and consider him for the next time, definitely. And I do appreciate, the Kleban name, but I do think, and I know Liam quite well, and he's a very honorable person. And I've talked to people on the commission who feel that he's been a great, addition to that commission.
And it really has nothing to do with his political party. While I'll be supporting his reappointment, it's just his service to our community and contributes to the commission to date, and looking forward to him continuing to serve in that capacity. And what his expertise and past experience, it adds value, and I will be supporting his reappointment.
But I would like to make a comment in response to opening it up to the public. I agree with you. I think even putting it in the newsletter, we can even go we can go further. I've talked to our head of IT. I would like to create a digital volunteer exchange that is very easy for people to volunteer for all of the things in town that we have, not necessarily a specific a specific commission, but to check off sort of which commissions they might be interested in and be able to actually view the progress of their application and whether it's been reviewed and you know, something a little more sophisticated so that we can collect people's resumes and their interests over a longer period of time. I'd love to be able to go out into the PTAs and into the senior center and into the various parts of town and tell people, go sign up on this exchange. And that would be a priority of mine, because I think there is, even with putting it in the newsletter, sometimes people feel that their application's gone in and, you know, it was maybe rigged from the start, or, you know, that their applications fell into a black hole somewhere. And I just want to take that feeling away, give people a sense that everyone can serve on a commission.
I'd just like to comment that people do apply regularly through the newsletter when there was openings, but Jennifer keeps an extensive list and she never throws away any applications. They're all kept.
I know.
So when openings come up, the protocol is to go into those files and pull the applications. And in my case, I would try to pull and pick the one who had applied the longest out. And so the person who applied first, you know, sort of first come, first serve. And so that process is in place. It's just that,
It's very manual.
well, I mean, yes, but it also, each of the board members each get a copy of all the applications. That's protocol and standard. So everybody who applies, we all get a copy of it automatically to be able to know who is applying for what and keep track of those on our own, like select people. But Jennifer does have those master.
Yeah.
And actually takes quite a bit of office time to sit down and go through those. I mean, it's tedious, but we do have a process in place.
Yeah. Selectman Vitale?
Well, I definitely appreciate the newsletter being one means of getting out information to our community for volunteer experiences. Not everybody necessarily gets the newsletter, and it doesn't take the place of the official town website and even a meeting information being shared during a public meeting. I know that we're just starting out and there's a lot of meetings coming up and we're heading into budget season, but moving forward, I would like to give an opportunity for some of our boards and commissions, maybe just to have the opportunity to come before the Board of Selectmen and give us updates on what they're doing, so our residents can just learn more about the amazing opportunities out there. While I appreciate first come, first serve, I think that trying to match a skill set with the commission is also beneficial. You want to get a group of people, you know, it helps to have somebody with the institutional knowledge, some people that are marketing, finance. So I think that if we build a database of people, not necessarily responding to a call for one particular commission, get information out there, we might just get more people applying and be able to better match skill set to the commission.
So anyone who's watching this on TV, we want you to apply for commissions and finance, you know, engineers, construction people that can help run projects. Anything else? Any other comments? Ready to vote? All in favor of Liam Burke? Say aye. Aye. Anyone against? Abstentions?
Okay.
Okay. Next item is the reappointment of which is first selectman appointment. Its reappointment is Patrick Mahoney for the term of 11/23 to 11/27. So this.
One more before.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. Sorry. Harbor Commission, Harbor Management Commission reappointment is Jeffrey Warren, 330 Parkwood Road for the term of 11/23 to 11/27. Do I have a motion? Selectman Vitale,
Second.
seconded by Selectwoman Kupchak. Discussion? Mr. Warren, would you come up and introduce yourself? And
I'm Jeff Warren. I've been a town resident for about 35 years, and I have dental practice in town. And so I retired 3 years ago, and I've been serving on the Harbor Commission for 2 years, mostly as an alternate, and I would like to continue on. I think it's a worthwhile thing to do. I'm passionate about preserving the harbor.
thank you. Thank you for stepping up. Are we ready to vote?
Bring it out to the public for comment. Any votes you're supposed to.
Well, we don't really normally do that. Anyone want to from the public want to comment? I believe we have to do that for. Okay.
All votes you have to. Ask the public if they have any comments.
Any public comment? Is that true?
Chair.
It's not about. If Selectwoman Kupchak wants me to ask for public comment, even though it's not required, it's up to me, but any public comment? I seeing none. We're ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Warren. The next item number 7 is the reappointment of Patrick Mahoney, or the appointment of Patrick Mahoney for the term of 11/23 to 11/27. Now, as building official, and per the charter, this is something we're supposed to do. It's not always been done, but I thought it would be great, but it should be done per charter. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity to have Mr. Mahoney come up and tell us a little bit about what he does for the public's sake.
Hello, most of you know me. I'm not a Fairfield resident, but I've been working in town for many, many years as a contractor. I got the great opportunity to come work for the town of Fairfield just under 8 years ago as an inspector. And over the course of time, I came up the ladder and I was appointed in interim to the chief building official for a while. And then last year, I given the full position. And I got to tell you, it's an honor to work with this town. It's the best job I ever had. I have a few ideas that are changing. I think our department has actually been doing wonderful. We're getting a lot of good reviews. We're trying to help people as opposed to make life difficult. I know I work with a lot of you guys. I work with police department, fire department, mostly at night when they call me when I'm sleeping. And cars go awry or fires, but I got to know a lot of them. And I got to tell you, we have a really, really good town. My department was totally, renovated. I hired a new inspector, and it's important that we do a lot here for the town, and we have a good team. And I just can't say enough. I look forward to working with our new administration. And, like I said, I'm always on call. I'm always at my phone. You ever need me? And if there's anything that we can do, we have a new software system that, a lot of people you either like it or you don't, or if it's a challenge, there's always a challenge. But our one goal is to tell everybody, if you have an issue, come see us. We have people to help you, but it is a good system. It's working. We get permits out pretty efficiently, but no matter what, you can always please 100% of people, but you try your best. And that's my goal. And, like I said, anybody has any issues or objectives, feel free to come talk to me. And I really appreciate the opportunity to work in the town.
Thank you, Mr. Mahoney. This is not a voting item, but I did want to just put, when we talked today, I knew, but I had forgotten that one of the things Mr. Mahoney has to do as building officials, when in the middle of the night, if there's a fire, some sort of event where a home or business is hurt, or there's some destruction. I think you mentioned one case where a car drove through a couple of homes. He's on the scene, no matter what the hour is, you or one of your people, but usually it's you, I guess, on the scene to make sure that the building is habitable. And I think people should know that. The other thing is that you were so adamant that people should call you and never feel like they should call you directly if they have any issues. So thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
I just would like to say that I had the pleasure of working and reorganizing that department among many departments, and it went through a lot of changes. The online system, I think, has made it extraordinarily more helpful to our businesses and residents. As somebody who's owned a small business for over 37 years now, contractors, time is money. And to have to stand in a sea of other contractors in the morning waiting to be taken to pull a permit was very difficult for most of our small business owners who were just blue collar guys. And so having the online system, Pat and Jim went and everyone worked so hard to build that system so that we can have that, give that service to our community, which is very much appreciated. We lost our new building official sort of abruptly, and Pat stepped right up and did an amazing job. He has been awesome in the department. The complaint levels went away completely, and Pat has been doing such a good job. So kudos to you, Pat, and thank you for everything for the job.
Thank you for that perspective, Ms. Kupchak, and thank you for your service. Look forward to learning more about your job, the good things and the challenges too, to hopefully make it a little bit easier.
Thank you. Okay, item number 8, purchasing authority. To hear, consider, and act on authorizing the purchasing authority to enter into the proposed contract with WMC Consulting Engineers, provide all engineering services necessary to perform design services for the replacement of the Brookside Drive and Congress Street bridges, as outlined in RFP 2024-14, in an amount not to exceed $327,200. Funding for this contract is available in account 228-090-1057000-020T2 for Brookside Drive Bridge, and 228-090-1057000-020T3 and 228-090-1057000-022T8 for Congress Street Bridge. Do I have a motion? Selectman Vitale, second. Selectman Kupchak. We have anyone here to
Myself or both of us?
Well, both of you.
Are there any specific questions, or you want to just give a little background?
Little background, yeah. I mean, I think we reviewed this with Mr. Hurley, so a little background for the public.
So, from a purchasing perspective, we utilized an on-call engineer list available to us from MetroCog, which town has a member of, have access to. That is a competitively procured process through MetroCog. We shortlisted 3 firms from that list and then solicited proposals from them through RFP 2024-14. Brought them in for interviews, and ultimately selected the firm with the lowest fee proposal, but they're also highest rated among the 3. Bill could probably speak a little more in detail.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, can you just talk about the type of grant as well?
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, just to finish what Adam's thought there is, the firm is very familiar with designing bridges, obtaining permits, holding public informational meetings, and the LOTSIP grant process. Having designed hundreds of bridges, WMC is the consultant. They're more than qualified to be the consulting engineer for both the Brookside and Congress Street Bridge projects, and has worked with the town of Fairfield in the past. The LOTSIP grant is a little unlike some of the other grants that we have, in that the town pays for the design, which, as you mentioned before, was approved a year or 2 ago. And they pay for the design, while 100% of eligible construction costs plus 20% contingency is paid to the town prior to construction. So unlike a lot of the other grants where it's reimbursement,
Here they pay you up in front, and there's only minimal state involvement. So unlike some of the local bridge program, which involves the DOT, or the federal bridge, which involves both the DOT and the federal government, the lot SIP is more of a region-based, MetroCog-based program in which the town has done a couple of lot SIP projects, and there's some more in the hopper. Kings Highway Pedestrian Improvement Project was a lot SIP project that is about closing out as we speak. So we get the money up front, which is pretty good. So then we don't have to worry about constant or monthly reimbursements. But like all grants, there's tons of paperwork involved, and obviously the projects do get audited. So we have to still keep track of everything.
So we pay for the design, not knowing whether or not we will necessarily get reimbursed. Like, that has to be accepted in order to get the grant, or is it all done up front?
No, it's all upfront with agreements, and with the lots. What they'll do is when it goes out to bid, they base that amount, the final amount, based on that bid. So then that way, and then that's why they throw in the contingency as well. So
yeah.
It's a very competitive grant, and we've been fortunate enough where I think we have 2 done, and I think another 4 or 5 in the hopper. So.
Can you quickly explain MetroCog's role? Do they work with you?
Yeah, well, MetroCog was the one where we originally shortlisted those firms. They had done a RFQ for requests for qualifications in the past. They had selected those firms. Then their next step is they're kind of like the distributor of the funds. They help us, as I said, there's less DOT involvement, so they'll help us review the request for proposal, the contract bid. They'll review any inspection services, and they also help review the design. So they are a very active.
For the benefit of the public, MetroCog is our regional towns. I think six towns that we're a member of.
In lieu of count, when the state eliminated the county government, they basically formed these COGs, Council of Governments.
Open up, any questions or comments?
I know we're just approving the contract, but if this should move forward, and I know these bridges are in disrepair, and I'm sure sooner rather than later, but what is the timing that you're hoping to just begin construction? Is it too soon to tell? And do you see them happening concurrently, the work on these bridges?
Yeah, there's definitely a possibility that they could be done concurrently. There's no reason why, as I said, WMC has a staff to do that. They went into the interview process with that in mind. Typically, a bridge will be anywhere from 12 to 24 months in design. A lot of that timeline depends on permits and the grant parameters. For a federal bridge, there's a whole extra layer of review that's involved. You have to go to the DEP and Army Corps of Engineers almost on any federal bridge project. For some of the smaller ones, you might be able to use what they call a general permit, a fairly simple replacement. And if not, then it's still just, you have to go through the DEP. And then from there, depending on the Army Corps involvement, what type of water course the bridge goes over, that's why the 12 to 24 month variation is because of the permit. But usually the design, you know, if we didn't have to do any permit, the design could be done in 12 months. And as far as construction, once we get all the approvals, it goes out to bid. It goes through our purchasing, and MetroCog would also review it, and then it's typically about a 2-month process by the time it's out. Organized to put the bids out together. We usually have a bid meeting. Purchasing hosts that, and then we open up the bids, and then purchasing, engineering, and in this case MetroCog would review the bids to make sure there's they're adequate and they filled out all the grant parameters. Some of them, you have to have a bid bond, some of them you have to have a certain amount of insurance, some of them you have to go by, if it's a federal one, it would be a Davis Bacon or, some of these disadvantaged business enterprise. As I said, it's a whole nother layer that they add on to certain projects. But with the LOTSIP, that's the easiest, quote, easiest grant that we could obtain because there's a lot less involvement from the state and there's no federal money involved, so.
Any other comments, questions? Any from the public? Seeing none, ready to vote? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, unanimous. Thank you. Thank you, Adam and Bill.
Thank you, Ellen.
So we are on item number 9. This will be the police chief. This requires Board of Finance and RTM approval. Here, consider and act upon the following resolutions as recommended by the Fairfield Police Chief. Resolve that to achieve the purposes of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, Port Security Grant. Oh, actually, I need to, I think we have an amendment here. I guess I should make the amendment or
Put it forward and then I can. Yeah.
read the original, okay? Read the original, and then we do have an amendment here. To maintain, reestablish maritime security, funds be and hereby are expended in the amount of $50,000 to offset the maintenance costs of the police department's marine vessels, 75% or $37,500 of said maintenance to be funded by PSG grant, and 25% or $12,500 of said funding to be matched by the Fairfield Police Department over a 3-year budget cycle, $4,166.66 for FY1, same for FY2, and the same for FY3, as administered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA. And further resolved that the First Selectman, William A. Gerber, is authorized to make, execute and approve on behalf of the town of Fairfield any and all contracts or amendments thereof to secure said grant. Motion
Put it on the table.
put on the table, seconded, second.
Motion to approve.
Motion to move,
To approve.
to approve. Motion to approve,
So
okay.
moved.
So moved,
Second.
seconded by Selectwoman Vitale. Discussion?
It's for to amend the original with that
I
language.
mean, do you want to ask for the amendment?
Make a motion to amend the proposed motion to strike the entire paragraph beginning with resolved and insert the following language. Resolved that to achieve the purposes of the Federal Emergency Management Agency's FEMA Port Security Grant, PSG, to maintain or reestablish maritime security, funds be and hereby are expended in the amount of $43,015 to offset the maintenance costs of the police department's marine vessels, 75%, $44,412 of said maintenance cost to be funded by the PSG grant, and 25%, $8,603 of said grant to be matched by the Fairfield Police Department over a 3-year budget cycle, $2,868 fiscal year 1, $2,868 fiscal year 2, $2,868 fiscal year 3, as administered by the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, and it goes on to the language as
Discussion?
The amendment.
Motion, yeah, we are moving the amendment, right? So
Second.
discussion.
So moved on the amendment. Second on the amendment.
Yeah.
And we have to vote to approve the amended.
Well, do you want to discuss, we have to discuss, right?
I support the amendment. I'm assuming that that's just new information.
This is new information that we received right before the meeting, and I think it was just a calculation error. So motion to approve, Ms. Vitale, seconded by Selectwoman Kupchak. All in favor, say aye. Aye, unanimous.
Now we
Okay, so now we're going to discuss the amended item. Do I have a motion? So it's already on the table. So discussion, do you want to walk us through what this is for? Thank you.
Thanks for having us. I'll start with the Port Security Grant. And if you had a chance to look at the 14-point summary, you'll see that's a little bit light on detail design because the funding security is sensitive, secure information. And with the boat being a kind of a soft target, we don't want to put it out there on how to disrupt its operations. But Fairfield Police Department has been involved with FEMA's Port Security Grant since 2010. PFG fully funded the 2011 33-foot safe boat and funded 75% of our 2015 23-foot safe boat. PSG program funds sustainability grants used to offset the maintenance cost of the above listed assets. On receipt of a PSG award, it has a 3-year cycle. PSG sustainability funding is a 75-25 match grant. The Fairfield Police Department funds 25% of the total award over a 3-year budget cycle. And that's what those numbers we were discussing represent. Purpose and justification, as we said, it really for the most part funds all of valves, routine maintenance and repair. And the purpose of having the boat, it serves functions with water control, water rescue, mutually, and beach surveillance for nature.
Open it up to discussion. Any comments, questions? Christine?
No, excited that we have this grant and that you're able to provide us safety on land and water. As a boater, I appreciate it, and I know that you are kept busy, and it's definitely reassuring to know that if there's an emergency out there, that we can call you and that you have the equipment needed to serve our residents.
Quick question. So I've heard about several times in the papers, you hear about us doing rescues from Bridgeport. Where the mutual aid is from Bridgeport all the way down to.
We participate with Bridgeport, sometimes with the U.S. Coast Guard.
Right. And it's pretty relatively frequent, I think, like at least every year. So it seems like this has been a good program.
Very
Yeah.
successful.
So I have no further questions. Any open to the public? Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll take it to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. The next item is also the police, and this also requires Board of Finance and RTM approval. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Fairfield Police Chief. Resolved that as part of the Fairfield Police Department's Behavioral Health Services Fund, be and hereby are expended in the amount of $190,000 over a 2-year period to expand the police crisis. It says crisis in teams, or is that crisis intervention? Crisis intervention team. So that's a clerical error that we will correct. Crisis intervention team. CIT, behavioral health programs for proper resources, staffing, training, and equipment to meet the ever-increasing demands for behavioral health services and to navigate cultural, financial, and communicative barriers that underserved communities face when attempting to access behavioral health services. 100% of said purchase to be funded by the COPS grant program as administered by the Department of Justice. Further resolved that First Selectman William A. Gerber is authorized to make, execute, and approve on behalf of the town of Fairfield any and all contracts or amendments thereof to secure said grant. Do I have a motion?
Second.
Sally, Selectman Kovcik. Any discussion?
I don't know if the chief has anything that he wants to.
Anything you would like to add, Debbie?
I have it covered pretty well, but I can give you a little bit of a more detailed synopsis if you're interested.
That would be great. I do have a question. The background is specific. The motion is not, and I wasn't sure about like the flexibility that you have.
Yeah. So this is a DOJ grant awarded to expand police crisis intervention teams and behavioral health programs. The town of Fairfield proposed $190,000 in funding for over 2 years. And that would cover 2 unmarked vehicles equipped with police radios and mobile dispatch terminals. 1 vehicle would allow the licensed clinical social worker to arrive in her own vehicle rather than in a police car to provide services. The second would allow a plainclothes crisis intervention officer to accompany the social worker on higher risk needs for service. Separate vehicles are necessary to isolate protected information. I would also fund overtime for off-duty crisis intervention follow-ups and LCSW, that's licensed clinical social worker escorts. Supporting quarterly meetings of the Fairfield Police Behavioral Health Network helps us to continue to grow the network, the goal being to offer the most extensive and comprehensive wraparound services to the consumer. Further, the dialogue facilitated among the members helps to improve accessibility of services, streamline processes, and increase knowledge of trends and available resources among members. And finally, increasing trainings and continued quality improvement are paramount in ensuring the growth of the necessary skill set in crisis intervention officers. And the Fairfield Police Department aims to maintain crisis intervention team training in 20% to 25% of its patrol force. And this isn't necessarily just about the number of mental health calls for service increasing every year, which they do dramatically, but it's also about improving access to underserved communities, improving quality of service to all consumers, maintaining sufficient CIT staffing, and maintaining proper equipment and technology. And the justification, the town of Fairfield has seen a dramatic increase in demands for behavioral health services. Proper staffing, training, and equipment increases the likelihood of safer and more appropriate outcomes for all. Further, there are subcommunities that experience barriers to services. This is to provide the resources, training, staffing, and equipment to meet the ever-increasing demands for behavioral health services, and to navigate cultural, financial, and communicative barriers that underserved communities face when attempting to access behavioral health services.
I have a question. So do you have flexibility in the buckets 1 through 4, or do you have specific amounts identified in your grant application?
So a grant requirement was to identify very specific amounts. So the financial justifications that we relied on, vehicle and equipment costs are all actual costs based on FY23 awarded bids and state contracts. Training costs are based on available data of specific training courses and associated fees, and travel estimates based on average rates as researched in 2023. Overtime rates are projected using the patrol level officer overtime rates of fiscal year 23 times the number of hours projected to accomplish the goals of the program.
So in order to comply with the grant, you have to stay within specific amounts. Personally, the unmarked card that really struck a chord. I think that's really very important to a lot of people. So any other comments?
I was gonna say, this program that was established, how long ago now? Did we put Jessica? It's been that long. So Julie DeMarco and the deputy chief worked really hard with many of our people on the police department dealing with mental health issues for quite some time. We asked for a mid-year transfer from the Board of Finance to fund the LSW, Jessica Bloomberg, who literally has just done an amazing job helping with all the mental health issues in our town that our law enforcement was having to deal with, which they still have to deal with. But having Jessica on staff has just been a blessing. I think Julie's nodding her head over there, but she agrees. But she's been so great. The police love her, the community loves her, and it was really such a good move. And really, Eddie and Julie worked so hard, and Steph Leach in our police department worked really hard to put this proposal together, and it's been a success, a real true success. And I appreciate all the work that you've done to put the grant together because it is really important. So thank you so much, and God bless Jessica.
I had submitted a question, prior to the meeting, try to give you guys the heads up, just in terms of, we hear about increased need for behavioral supports. Do you have any numbers over the last 3 years?
I do. I actually, when we were proposing for the licensed clinical social work, we put a 5-year comparison together. Now, there's a 6th year. But 2017 was 45 calls for service, 2018 was 65, 2019 went down to 22, 2020 was 62, 2021 was 96, and then here's the jump. 2022, 687, 2023 year to date is 701. That averages out to about 14 per week, so we could see anywhere from 56 to 58 more before January.
Those numbers are staggering. We're supporting this, but I think this is just a sign of work that needs to be done just as a community as a whole. Because ideally, we don't want the police department to escalate to the point that you're involved, that you're needed to be involved. So thank you for your work on this, and thank you for Jessica's work on this. I think this is just the beginning of, a comprehensive and a holistic view on how we support our community and their mental health needs. I have a lot of questions about this, just in terms of the underserved populations and some of the communication barriers. I'm sure that this is just the tip of the iceberg on the tools that you probably need to be effective. And Julian.
It's a good point you bring up, Jess. You bring up Christine, because I think this is a broader issue. You're going to learn, or Bill's going to learn, that the police are called for everything, literally everything. And a lot of this comes from our broken healthcare system, quite frankly, that we don't cover mental health services. There's a lot of people out there who don't have services because of insurance doesn't cover it. And that's a greater problem. Problems we can't solve here at this table. But unfortunately, law enforcement is called many times when issues come up in families. Spent a lot of time around NAMI tables, National Association of Mental Illness. She meets across the street. And it's a big problem, but it's not a problem we can solve. This is a part of helping the problem in our community, but it's a huge problem that needs to be addressed at our state and federal level regarding parity and mental health services and insurance costs, insurance covering people who need help.
Chief?
Yeah, I just want to share that we're very fortunate in the fact that these grants were awarded for us because they're competitive grants at the Department of Justice. So sometimes comes at the cost of what you put into it is what you get out of it. And Ed has Deputy Chief Wyatt has spearheaded not only the program within the department that is looked at by our neighboring departments as a model to move towards, but also has spearheaded this program and the information that he that he gives to the Department of Justice to make the competitive process. So we're fortunate to get this grant for the department to assist in the resources that we are getting.
So Deputy Chief Wyatt, you've been involved from the beginning on this. And do you write the grants, or do you have help?
This particular grant, I had help from the town grant coordinator, Terry Brown.
Okay.
A gem in helping us navigate the process, which is very difficult, navigating 3 different websites with 5 different passwords. It can get, but all of the information was provided just from our years in trying to be pioneers in our approach to health.
Thank you. Any other comments? Would anyone from the public like to comment? Seeing none, all in favor, say ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you
so much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jess.
Take care. Thank you. Item number 11, Human and Social Services Director. This requires Board of Finance and RTM approval. To hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Fairfield Human and Social Services Director. Resolved to achieve the purposes of the State Department of Aging and Disability Services ARPA grant for additional services that could include nutrition, wellness, educational, social, and recreational activities. Funds be and hereby are expended in the amount of up to $131,000 to build an ADA compliant outdoor fitness facility that will include a variety of accessible strength, agility, and conditioning equipment that will serve seniors with disabilities or physical limitations. And further resolved that the first selectman, William Gerber, is authorized to make, execute, and approve on behalf of the town of Fairfield any and all contracts or amendments thereof to secure said grant. Make a motion to
Second.
Selectwoman Latali, Selectwoman Kupchak. Oh, there you are. Julie, please.
We're very excited. These next two items are together. We're very excited about this grant. We were allocated $131,000 based on a formula to the senior center ARPA funds. And we thought it would be a great use of these funds to have an outdoor space for people who aren't quite ready to be back inside all the time for our exercise classes, and for people who don't yet come to the center. Anybody can use this. They recommend ages 13 and up, but there's there's an arm bike. I'm not going to act everything out, but there's a bridge there. You get to try out different surfaces walking, and then it's on the grounds of the senior center is great for us. There's the parking would be in back by the health department. There's a trail that would up to it. There's a gate. It'll be separate from Child's Garden. It's about 50 feet across. We just went with it.
Sounds like something I could use. Any comments?
Yeah, it's really amazing. I mean, we just started when I was here, and Julie really had the forth to look at this, and having this interactive playground, so to speak, for seniors. It was kind of modeled after what we did at Gould Manor, where you see those exercise pieces incorporated in the playground. So it's not just a playground for children, but also for adults. If you see, they have the kettlebell there, and they have the elliptical and things like that. So this was sort of adding more activity, outdoor activity opportunities for our senior citizens and people with disabilities as well. So I think it's going to be a home run. I walked the whole property. It's going to be so nice over there, and I think it'll be well used by especially our seniors. I think they're going to enjoy being out there in that space.
It looks looking at the equipment, it looks very cool. All these are outdoor, just in terms of, do you know the life expectancy, just in terms of, maintenance long-term?
They said at least 20 years. They'll service it if things are great, but
it's exciting. I think just moving forward, just playground for our seniors, and as we look to just playgrounds around town to make them as accessible to all abilities, I think that should be something that we strive for, and I appreciate your work on this and looking forward to approving it.
Do you have a question about risk? Did it go through a risk management review to ensure that it's appropriate for age appropriate, that that the people using it? No, that's not typically an issue. Yeah.
I mean, it did.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the process is for playgrounds. I know Anthony was very helpful in planning it, and I'm sure the coverage is similar to what you go through, but honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
I know what.
Thank you. Any more questions? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, take a vote. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Gonna stay up there.
Yeah.
So item number 12, Human and Social Services Director, again, requires Board of Finance and RTM approval to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Fairfield Human and Social Services Director. Resolved to achieve the State Department of Economic and Community Development's purposes of expanding programming, a portion of $350,000 in funds be and hereby are expended in the amount of up to $140,000 to build an ADA compliant outdoor fitness facility that will include a variety of accessible strength, agility, and conditioning equipment that will serve seniors with disabilities, physical limitations. And Further resolved that First Selectman William Gerber is authorized to make, execute, and approve on behalf of the town of Fairfield any and all contracts or amendments thereof to secure said grant. Do I have a motion? Selectwoman Natale's, Kupchak, any additional comments? Anything else? This is the same item, so just broken into two pieces, so.
So the ground is $261,000. So the first 131 is essentially half of it. We used half of this money that was allocated in the state budget to make up the difference of that.
Is any of it going to be covered? You know, have you gotten so far as to design in terms of any of it will be covered?
Right now, no. That's something that, depending on where we are with our funds and what we have left, we do have a little bit left for the civic center where we had the patio and that expansion of the sidewalk. If there's monies left over, we would look to cover it. It's part of it.
Just thinking about, heat, sun, and just that population.
Any comments from the public? Seeing none, are we ready to vote? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed? None? Unanimous? Thank you so much, Julie. Item number 13, Health Director, requires Board of Finance and RTM approval to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Fairfield Health Director. Resolve that as part of the Fairfield Health Department's immunization activities and media campaigns to promote the importance of vaccinations, funds be and hereby are expended in the amount of $143,667 to support the supplemental staffing to increase vaccination activities for influenza, COVID-19, and routine vaccinations. 100% of said purchase be funded by immunizations and vaccines for children, COVID-19 supplements, and media funding with a project period of September 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2025, as administered by the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health, DPH, and further resolved that First Selectman William A. Gerber is authorized to make, execute, and approve on behalf of the town of Fairfield any and all contracts or amendments thereof to secure said grant. Do we have a motion? Selectwoman Vitale, Selectwoman Kupchak.
Hi, Sands Cleary, Director of the Health Department. For this grant, I'm going to have Dr. Santina Duranco, our Assistant Director for Community Health, present on these two grants as she manages them. Thank you.
Good evening. So for the immunization grant, this is a federal grant that has been distributed down to the states, down to the local level. We have been awarded $143,667 to be spent from September 1st, 23 to June 30th, 25 for activities related to COVID-19, flu, and other immunizations to the community. With this money, we plan to hire one part-time immunization support nurse and one part-time community health worker to increase our vaccination capability and outreach. Additionally, as required by the grant, $51,573 must be allocated for media funding, advertising, and printing, which will allow the health department to hire a media company to develop and distribute educational campaigns to promote vaccine confidence.
A question, have you decided the dates for the clinic, the influenza clinics yet, or?
Not yet. We probably, because of the timeline of the grant, we probably won't be able to use any of the funds for this season, but it will be for next season.
Okay, fantastic. Any questions, comments?
I just want to say Santina does an amazing job at education. When I first came here 4 years ago, I remember looking up her job description thinking, what is this job do? And wow, she does a lot. She's awesome. You could be the media company actually. She does great videos during COVID. She did such fun videos that engaged our community in involving them in getting the vaccine, and some fun ones too. Funny ones. You could have actually probably got an award or something. But great job, and
those grants.
Well, I knew Santina before she was doctor. She was my advisor when I was getting my master's of public health, and I worked under her for several months in order to qualify for my master's. So I know how hard you work. And Sans, thank you. Sans allowed me to do that, and I really appreciate that forever. And any other comments?
Echo your thanks and your praise as a former member of the Board of Health. How important it is to just communication around our vaccines, and as a mom whose child is still dealing with respiratory viruses and bringing it home, I think that more that we can do just to increase access and increase the communication on when vaccine clinics are and accessibility. So thank you for being aggressive in getting this funding and for all the work that you do.
We have COVID tests in the hallway right now.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if you ever need
Free COVID.
us to sort of talk about like some free advertising, I don't know how many people watch compared to your videos, but you know, we should make announcements here.
We watch her way more.
Yeah, yeah.
Viewership rate of a Selectmen meeting is pretty low.
We are having a.
Sorry.
Change that.
I won't.
If anyone wants to come.
Monday, just one day. Monday, December 11th.
From 4 to 7 p.m. over at the Public Health Nursing Office. We do flu shots, 3 years and older. So a high dose for anyone who's looking.
You do have high dose? Yeah.
We do.
Oh, you have them in. Okay, because those are hard to come by sometimes.
And you can call us and schedule a COVID vaccine. Something like that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Open up to the public. I don't see any comments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, thank you. The next item is also the health director requires Board of Finance and RTM approval to hear, consider, and act upon the following resolution as recommended by the Fairfield Health Director. Resolved that as part of the Fairfield Health Department's continued efforts to further workforce development by retaining staff, funds be and hereby are expended in the amount of $152,729 for the cost of Fairfield's continued efforts to further Fairfield Health Department's workforce development by retaining staff. 100% of said purchase to be funded by the Public Health Workforce Development and Infrastructure Grant as administered by the State of Connecticut Department of Public Health, DPH. Further resolved that First Selectman William A. Gerber is authorized to make, execute, and approve on behalf of the town of Fairfield any and all contracts or amendments thereof to secure said grant. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Selectwoman Kupchak, Selectman Vitale, would you like to explain this a little bit?
So once again, this is a federal grant that's been distributed to the states down to the local level. We were awarded $152,729 to be spent over a course of 5 years, November 1st, 23 to November 1st, 27. The purpose of this is to help further advance the health department's workforce. So what we plan to do with the funds is to retain current full-time staff or current full-time grant-funded staff and extend that position for another 1.5 years. So this position will continue to work on communicable disease surveillance, contact tracing for other reportable diseases, quality improvement projects, and other tasks as needed.
Fantastic. Any comments or questions? Any comments or questions from the public or comments from the public? Seeing none, ready to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Thank you. Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you.
It's amazing.
Thanks, Mr. Cleary. Item 15, Community and Economic Development Director requires RTM approval to hear, consider, and act upon a request from the Affordable Housing Committee and the Director of Community and Economic Development to approve the purchase of 376 Quincy Street within the Parkview Commons development and to authorize the use of the Housing Trust Fund to pay all costs to finance and purchase. Do I have a motion? Selectwoman Kupchak, seconded by Selectwoman Vitale. Mr. Barnhart.
Good afternoon, Mark Barnhart, Director of Community Economic Development, East Whitfield, Leslie Hall. I'm here to present the proposed purchase of 376 Quincy. It's within the Parkview Commons development. Town has been engaged in attempting to retire some of the properties within the Parkview Commons development post Superstorm Sandy. The area was not directly impacted by flooding, but it is below, all the properties are below the mandatory flood elevation and thus need to be elevated in order to apply. And that's cost prohibitive for anyone that's within these low and moderate income price ranges. So beginning in 2020, we started with the effort to acquire property using monies from the Housing Trust Fund. We purchased to date 362, 385, 9, 350 Quincy Street. Now we have an opportunity to purchase 376 Quincy. We were the successful bidder at a foreclosure sale that was held this past month, which prompted our referral to this body. Actually, the Affordable Housing Committee had first recommended the allocation of Housing Trust monies for this purpose back in October of 2022. It was subsequently presented to this board following an executive session. At that time, we had an estimate of what we thought the property would go for. We had allocated $350,000 for it. And we had actually gone to the Planning and Zoning Commission under 8-24 for mandatory referral, and they unanimously recommended its acquisition. So we're here to complete that process. We now have a defined amount of $273,000, which is less than the appraised value, also considerably less than what we had allocated for acquisition and less than what we required for the other properties within that same domain. So it does need to still go through the RTM. Actual bid, if it was done through foreclosure, does need to be approved by the court, which is pending, but we expect that we'll have sale.
It's sort of an awkward process, right?
It is.
Because when you go to you're sort of, are you bound by?
We had to put down the deposit. That deposit is at risk.
So the deposit would be at risk. Of course, you probably knew it wasn't really at risk, but there's no way around that right? So.
The town was one of the creditors at the time. There was obviously behind in the mortgage, but also owed development fund, the town of Fairfield, as well as the hospital. So to protect our interest, but also to try to move this forward. What is of interest to us is that this property is contiguous to the two other lots, assemble 3 lots in a row, which was attractive.
Can you remind us what it is you plan to do?
So we did, thank you for asking, we did recently solicit proposals, qualification statements and proposals from interested development partners, Habitat for Humanity, which is town for the 44 Greenfield Street, did respond. We selected them. Their plan is working with us to present a proposed development plan that incorporates a combination of duplexes and triplexes for the site.
For all 3?
For all 3.
Right.
So actually all five properties. So
okay.
There's 2 across the street that are not contiguous to one another. So
right.
The thought is to not only address the underlying flood compliance issues, but also to increase our inventory of starter homes for people that need housing.
So do you have a sense for how many units? We have 5 homes.
We're hoping to get somewhere between 10 to 15 units.
10 to 15 units and all deed restricted.
All deed restricted, correct.
We've been working on this for, no, Mark?
Many years.
A while.
Patience.
Yeah, patience. And Mark, really kudos to Mark for, we talked obviously every day about these things, but Mark really put in so much effort. And it's not really typical of an economic development director to be doing the work that Mark does. He does so much work, aside from his normal development job. But this is like such a home run because this is what we've been trying to do in town, to build our own affordable housing to get out from under the state mandate it's never ending. So, you know, it takes time to do these things, and Mark has really put in the time and effort to get us where we need to be. It takes time to do these things. It just does. It's so many moving parts. It's like a Chinese puzzle, you know, thing you move, so the amount of time and effort, phone calls, meeting with these people, going back and forth. The Affordable Housing Commission. So really kudos to you, Mark. You've done really so much good.
It's my privilege and honor, and I think the town doesn't receive as much credit as it should for all the efforts it's made in terms of, so we're trying to.
I know. God, amen to that.
Thank you, Mr. Barnhart, for your work on this. Do you know that, assuming that we acquire and it moves forward and Habitat, they have to do their own fundraising?
Yeah.
You know, like just going to the groundbreaking at the homes on Greenfield Street. Do you know how long it typically takes from the time a property is acquired to when it is actually move-in ready for families?
A couple steps here. So once we acquire this property, as I said, we have awarded development rights to Habitat, but that really should come back in the form of a development agreement back to this body. And then ultimately we will enter into a long-term ground. So the town retains title to the property, partnership with Habitat, where we can lease it to them for $1 a year, but we would still be in the chain title. And that again would require this body and approval. Once that's done, all the while they can be continuing with their design efforts, which has to then get approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. Site plan does need to be approved. Asking for some relief in order to provide for as many affordable units as we can reasonably provide without, ensuring that it does remain contextual to the neighborhood in which it's situated. But I would figure once we get to the actual site plan approval, we're looking typically 2 years now, 6 months. Or doing your financing and you're finishing up your construction plans, actual construction. So it'll be a 2 to 3 year haul, more like a 3-year haul from this point for that. I'd like to move it fast, but that's really common. And it takes about 4 to 5 years to bring project from conceptualization all the way to sale. And Habitat has received a major grant, but every opportunity have to fundraise off of these developments, an opportunity just like we were trying to housing trust fund. It's a resource in-house to go forward.
So if I have this right, we have 5 deed restricted homes right now that could double or triple in terms of units that and in terms of like points for ownership, are those the same? Is there an income test for the amount of points?
Well, you would get more points if we could target those to 60% AMI units. Might be able to do that. Habitat's one of the few entities that could do that because they provide their own financing, 0% 30-year fixed rate mortgages for folks. They do better than that. And so they're able to put people in a position to succeed so they can target a lower income.
So you're saying Habitat's not looking for a return?
They're not looking, that's their mission, is to provide.
They're not looking for a return.
Housing. So
that's great.
I think, we would get.
Right. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Any comments from public? Seeing none, motion to in favor? Say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Mark. Town attorney. To hear, consider, and act upon a retainer agreement between the town of Fairfield, the client, and Cohen and Wolf, PC, the firm, concerning the client's retention of the firm as legal counsel in connection with the matters described in this retainer agreement. The firm agrees to provide legal counsel, legal services to the client and the client agrees to pay the firm's fees and expenses as provided in this retainer agreement. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Selectwoman Kupchak, seconded by Selectwoman Vitale. Mr. Pierce.
Thank you. So, under the town charter, it's a prerogative of the first selectman to appoint the town attorney. But in 2 instances in the charter, it refers to board of selectmen approval for paid the town attorney. So in the section on town attorney, it says that the compensation of the town attorney is to be set by the board of selectmen. And I think, the retainer agreement's a contract for services that probably falls into the contract clause. So I think just being open and transparent is probably preferred to have the board of selectmen approve it. So that's why we've asked for the board to approve the retainer agreement. Is there any questions?
I'd just like to say I love the idea of doing things by the charter, by the books, and thank you for bringing this to my attention because I did not realize that until you told me that this should be approved by this board. Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yes, thank you. Well, congratulations. Thank you for your event. And I think you're a good choice. And I have the opportunity to call you as well as a member of this board.
You absolutely do.
I know that. I do want to say that, I want to say a few things. I got criticized quite a bit by my opponent regarding picking my own town attorney, and that kind of was not appropriate. But as we all know, that's the way it's been forever. I think First Select people pick, they trust and they feel that guide the town in the best way. And so I just wanted to bring that up because the First Selectman is doing the very same thing. I'm not criticizing him for it because it's what our town has always done. The First Selectman picks the town attorney that they want to have. And you picked a good one. I did not know about this charter provision. Actually, as we know, I brought up charter revision because I thought our charter is, and I'm still believed, very antiquated. And as you will learn as the town attorney, it's clunky and it was built for a town government from 1960, not for 2023 government. It is antiquated. It causes a lot of trouble having the Board of Selectmen talk about contracts. It's everyone's time. And there's so many other things. I do hope that you will work with the First Selectman. I hope he's interested in commissioning a charter revision again and won't face the same vitriol that I faced trying to do that process, because it really does slow up our ability to do good work in our community. There's so much work. I mean, just evidenced by what Mark was just talking about. I mean, the amount of work and time that we spent on those things that he talked about today, and then all the other stuff that you have to deal with, it's just not helpful. Let's just say that. Doesn't allow our town to move forward in a positive direction. So I just wanted to make those comments.
Already gotten to work on behalf of the town for some of the UI hearings. I know during the charter discussions, the RTM also debated whether or not they should have their own representation. I think that by having a firm that we potentially have, if the opportunity should ever arise where you may want 2 different legal opinions, your firm can provide that. So forward to working with you, and I thank you for stepping up.
Yeah, and I just want to add that it's already paying dividends in my view. Cohen and Wolf is a large regional firm. You understand the town, but your firm has expertise in many areas. And one of them is land use. And I believe from listening to the last siting council hearing, I think the person in your firm doing that work, David Ball, is truly amazing. So I really appreciate the fact that you can call on substantial resources at a moment's notice. And that really is for me a big difference. So really great to have you on board, Phil. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just to close, I do want to Skopchik's point, to Attorney Baldwin, I thank him for his service to the town as our chair of the Board of Education. I did call on him just for consultation and advice, and he did always take my call. So I just would like to put that on the record.
Any other questions or comments? Out to the public, any questions, any comments? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Congratulations, Phil. Item 17, consider an act, tax collector, sorry. Consider an act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $83,713.75. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion of this item? We have the schedule, which I believe is in the backup of refunds. So I have no questions. Any comments or questions, comments from the public? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Unanimous. Thank you. Item number 18, to hear, consider, and act upon any other business which shall properly come before this meeting. Any comments?
Excuse me. I just wanted to check, I know that during, I don't remember what meeting it was, the Board of Finance Subcommittee, Audit Subcommittee meeting, when we were doing the investigation presentation from the HR department, it was brought up during the meeting by the chairperson and the members of the committee that asking for an opinion from the Ethics Commission regarding the internal auditor being the union president of a union in our town that audits those same people, and that my understanding is the Ethics Commission came back saying that they believed it was a conflict of interest. Would you be able to update?
I can definitely update. Actually, I watched that meeting. It was actually the internal auditor, Connie Saxel, who asked for the Ethics Commission review. And they did perform the review. Unbeknownst to her, no one contacted her to tell her the review had been completed. But when she found out, she came into my office and said she was going to resign, and did subsequently resign as being president of the union. So, and I thanked her for that. She sent an email to the union, myself.
Because I thought I had gotten a copy. I thought they had sent it to her.
She had not received it, and had never been, interviewed, or, that hadn't been, if she had been copied, I'll double check. But either way, doesn't matter. As soon as she found out, she said, I think from my understanding, it was more work than she really wanted. Never really felt that strongly about it one way or the other, but just wanted to make sure that the Ethics Commission agreed. And I'm quite happy that she did make that decision.
That's good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
This is just housekeeping, just for the whole public comment in terms of when to take public comment. Maybe just make a decision if it's going to be before all action items, just to make it clear on the agenda so the public knows that if they want to give public comment to something, that they can come and they will be heard.
Right.
Think about.
No, I appreciate you bringing that up. I mean, listen, what is this, my 23rd year serving very capacities in the community. I think you always, I don't know, the board changed here and there, back and forth, the Board of Ed. Back in the day, I remember when I was on it, they changed it to like education meetings would have comment, and each chair kind of changed it around. I personally always feel that we should allow comment, not questions, right? Because I remember back in the day when Ken Flato, even Paul Audley, oh my God. You know, they don't take questions, they just take comment. But I think it's our obligation, I think, as elected officials to allow anybody either on FairTV, you know, on WebEx or in public to make a comment on anything we're gonna do before we take a vote. That's all.
Agenda items, and right now, the Board of Education takes public comment only on agenda items. You can't just come to a meeting and speak to anything. At the
You
beginning.
do it at both the education and business meetings?
At the beginning, it's all business meetings right now.
Oh, they are.
It's not. split.
Oh, I see.
So beginning of the meeting, at the end of the meeting, and before action items, not before minutes, but.
Sure.
And the public just has that expectation. We'll defer to the first selectman in terms of, you know, what direction you want to take, but I just think it would be clear, just so the public knows on the agenda. The Board of Ed also has a town hall meeting where the public can come and just ask questions about programs, finances, facilities. Their meeting is December 7th. If anybody wants to come, a little plug for that. You can go talk to the Board of Ed, something that we could, you know, our board can talk about if we want to have something a little more open throughout the year, but just in the short term, I think it might be something that's clear on the agenda.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah.
And I think to Ms. Kupchik's point about the Wednesday meetings, moving from a Monday to a Wednesday, if you've given any thought to that.
I think it's a good idea to move from Monday back to Wednesday, the way it originally was. And as you explained, Selectwoman Kupchik, that
Someone
was.
actually said to me, it's because, you know, well, we changed it for Mr. Flynn.
Right.
But if you ever want to take a long weekend, I guess it kind of allows us to.
Yeah.
Too.
I mean, there's no reason, there's no reason not to change it back. Same time.
I mean, I think it's always been that time.
Yeah.
I'm fine with the time. And what's really nice is we have the hybrid option. So if you are still stuck at work or you've got something, still come or attend, participate.
So that should be an agenda item for when do we do the calendar?
You think you have to set it?
I have
You
to set the
already have
calendar.
Ready to set it, and then
Okay.
we would vote on the
Okay.
Meeting schedules
Okay.
So
for 24.
Fantastic.
we will defer to you to look at just, you know, Wednesdays and other town meetings and when you think it just makes sense to align the meetings, being that.
Kind of mess up with the Mondays because of the RTM and stuff.
Yeah, you know,
Right.
well,
Right.
Wednesday, there is no other really.
there's no other meeting and just making sure you time it for maybe, you know, when Board of Ed is, so if they have something that they approve,
The old
Yeah.
Wednesday
that
schedule.
they approve, so they know that they can get on our agenda next and maybe just streamline a little bit, because very often it seems that the Monday just kind of made it hard
Right.
to get things on the agenda that.
Okay. And public comment, public comment's great. And usually most items, probably no one is going to make it, but we can ask. And you're saying it should be on the agenda so that people know, but even if it's not, we can still do it, right? But we can put it on the agenda. I'll make sure Jen knows. And the last thing I'd like to say is there was an item that some folks wanted on this agenda for the HVAC for the Fairfield Public School building project. We weren't quite ready to put that on the agenda because there was some turnover, with Jason Lee leaving for the Board of Ed and some turnover, and the new chair of that committee is David Becker. And with our transition from First Selectwoman Kupchik to First Selectwoman Gerber, I had not had the opportunity to meet and get a full run through on the HVAC project, what the deliverables are, what the deadlines are, sort of what the time constraints are. And we're going to have a meeting. I'm going to have a meeting with some of the interested parties this week to sort of get a better understanding. So we're going to have a special meeting a week from today, Monday, December 11th, to hear about that project. And since we're having that meeting, we have other items that we can put on that agenda. And then after that, I think for a couple of days after that, the Board of Finance is planning to have a special meeting as well. We can't.
Following December.
The 18th.
Meeting on the 18th, right?
Right. The issue with the HVAC project is the building committee feels they are really far behind. That this should have actually been approved a few months ago. They're worried about switching
There were some
equipment.
issues with the finance problems on their end, and is why it didn't come before the Board of Selectmen.
I think they wanted, from what I understand, they wanted an owner's rep, and that whole process for getting the owner's rep was held up a few months. And so now we're in a time crunch, so they really don't want to wait even another week, which we're gonna learn more about it. I'm gonna learn more about it this week, talking with David Becker, who's the chair of that committee, and the other people.
I mean, I'll email with you. I might have a conflict, but.
Is there a way, hopefully you can dial in or, okay. All right. Okay. Any other comments or questions?
No, just a thank you to everyone for the town tree lighting, Parks and Rec, the police, fire, the museum, DPW.
Anthony's done such.
It was amazing.
It was.
Has changed that whole thing. It's so awesome.
It-
And the community loves it.
It was an incredible event. My children who were not in Fairfield saw pictures of it and were jealous.
Yeah.
Just jealous that that it was not like that when they were little, coming on a Friday night in the dark and the freezing cold. So kudos.
Line at the beer tent.
Yeah.
To Parks and Rec and everyone else.
The train displays and the fires, it was just, it's wonderful. So congratulations to everybody who played a part in that. It was beautiful. The Fairfield Public School singers, it was a rough holiday to it, so.
Agreed. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Selectman Cook.
Second.
Motions, Selectman Vitale, seconded by Selectwoman Kupchak. All agreed? No. Aye. We are adjourned.